Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing Roxy's Weekly Challenge week 14. I know I'm behind, but I'll get there. Now, Rachel used a bag, a cutlery bag, and I don't have any of those. She did say you could use an envelope, which you could, of course. You would seal your envelope up, but I'm going to use a piece of digital. Now this is full A4 size. It's been printed digital, borderless I mean, and I'm going to use that, and I'm going to make my cylinder or envelope or whatever you like to call it out of this. I might trim it down a little bit later on, but first of all I want to use my scoreboard, and I'm going to score a ½ an inch up from the bottom. Doesn't really matter whether you do it from the bottom or the top. So I'm just going to score that ½ an inch, and I'm going to fold that over. You don't have to score it, you can just, you know, go by eye if you prefer. But for me it's just as easy to score. Now we're going to take the other edge up to that edge and crease that down. I'm going to make sure we get it nice and straight. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this down. Yes. Actually, before I do glue it down, I want to stitch around it. So I'm going to stitch around the whole edge. Okay, so I've stitched around that, but I haven't stitched that bottom lip up. Now I'm going to glue it. So I'm going to run some glue along here. Now you can use any size paper you like. You can, as I said earlier, you can use an envelope, you can use a bag. Okay, so there we have it. So we've got our hollow tube there. And that goes that way. Now we're going to fold that in half this way. Line that up and crease that down. Make sure we've got it nice and square. Burnish. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it back to my sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch along there, just along there. I don't think I'm going to stitch down the centre. Actually, I won't do that just yet. I'll get my, because this has pages in it, so it turns into a booklet. So let me just clean that cap up on my glue. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut some of this coffee dyed paper up to fit in here as a booklet. Now that is the full width of an A4 piece of paper, and that is half the thing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a ½ an inch off. What have I got here? 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 pieces. I'm going to cut ½ an inch off of the length. So it's, let me take this to 1/2 inch would probably be the easiest way of doing it. I'm not too concerned if they're not all exactly the same. Yep. And because that is 1/2 an A4 sheet, I'm going to cut this. Let's cut 3/4 of an inch off. Now I'm going to keep these because I've just bought a whole heap of new stamps and I'm going to stamp on those. So they may come in handy. Now, how much have I got here? What is it? 7.5? Yep. So if I cut this at 3 3/4, it should be about halfway. They are near enough to exactly the same. So let's see how they fit in there. Oh, that's right, I took a 1/2 an inch off, didn't I? But that's okay. I might just take another 1/4 of an inch off of those, I think. Just to give me a little bit of leeway. So that now makes them 3.5. So let's have a look. Yep, perfect. Perfect. Let's cut this one down to 3.5 as well. Okay, so fold that in halves. Now you could use all sorts of paper in here. You know, you could use book pages and magazine pages, whatever you like can go in here. Anything that you would like to use in your journal for writing space or whatever. So now let's fold those in halves. And the reason I didn't sew around that first is because I'm going to just sew these pages in there using my sewing machine. So I'll just open those up and stitch them in there. And first of all, I'll stitch across the top and then I'll stitch down here and stitch those into position. Okay, so I've stitched that in there and I used a large stitch. So I put my machine to number 4 stitch. You can see there, they're fairly long. And now, and I've inked around it as well, inside and out. So now that's my little booklet. And it has a pocket here and a pocket here. So I have backed this piece of digital with some file folder, and I'm going to make some tags, or yeah, I'll make some tags to fit in here. So let me measure what I can fit in there. It goes to that stitching, so I could do 3 3/4, but I'm going to do 3 1/2. I think that will be a nice fit, and it can go right down to the bottom, but I want a bit to poke out, so I'm going to do, what did I say, 3 1/2 by 6 1/4. Yeah, 3 1/2 by 6 1/4. And I need 2. So 3 1/2. 3 1/2 is 7. By 6 1/4. So if I cut that off at 6 1/4, and then I cut this at 3 1/2. Let me just check and make sure that that fits in there nicely. Perfect. Perfect. So now I need to cut another one 3 1/2. And that gives me a bit of scrap and 2 nice sized tags. So let's cut these to shape. I might go for that size there. So they're not going to be that deep. If I start off with smaller ones, I can always make them bigger if I don't like the look of it. Yep, that's fine. So I'm going to make them both the same. I think I actually cut my card then. So there we go, we have 2 tags, we have 2 pockets. So there we go, and there we go. So I'm going to stitch around these first, because I'll probably put an eyelet in each one and put some ribbon on it. So we've got journaling space on the back, and we've got 2 tags that we can decorate. Now, because they're going into a pocket, I don't really want them to be too bulky with our decoration. So we'll look at that when I get back. Okay, so there are my cards, my tags. I've stitched around them. Now I'm going to put eyelets in them. Here's my crocodile. Very handy gadget. I'll go about the centre. Do them both. And I'm going to use some gold. These tags on the back, these rings on the back, should I say. Just makes a nice neat finish on the back. So let's pop that in there, put the ring on there. And And the same again. And then I've got some gold ribbon here that I've been using for tags and things throughout this journal. I might just put that through there. My tweezers. Pull that through. And then thread. Thread the two ends through the loop. Pull them up. Just trim them off a little bit. I probably don't need to have them that long. And the same for this one. Let's cut it off about there. Thread it through. Thread my two ends through the loop and put it through. Now, if you're doing this and you haven't got an eyelet in there, you might want to be a little gentler pulling your ribbon through, because it could pull that, and tear through there. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got so far. We've got a tag to go in there, and a tag to go in there. Now, if you're making this, you could put thumb notches in it, and you could ink the edges of your paper before you glue it up if you want to. Okay, so there we go. We've got that so far. Now, we probably want to decorate this a little bit, and we want to put a little bit of embellishment on our tags, something pretty flat. Now I've got all my odds and ends here that I have been using throughout this journal. So I'm going to, what am I going to put on here? This is going to go into a pocket. So it'll probably go into a pocket like that, with these poking up like that. So I'm going to decorate it this way. I think it would be too wide to go in a pocket that way. So let me grab my journal. Let's open it to a page. Oh, it would go in there. What I could do is attach this to my page as a pocket. So 1, 2, 3. Have something in there, which I haven't got handy at the moment. And then these would poke out the edge of my journal, which I have already got some things poking out there. So let's do that. I need, it's too big. Oh no, it's not. Yeah, it is a bit too big to go on an A4 sheet, but I've got these music pages in here that are wider than the A4 sheet. Oh, let's hope I've still got some left. Ah, this one. So if I bring that right out there, that's no good. It has to be on that side, doesn't it? Okay. So we could do it on here. If I put that there, like that, it will close all right, but it's very bulky. Would it be better in a pocket, do we think? It would probably be better in a pocket that's got some bulk up the top. It'll help, you know. even up the, you know how our journals always seem to be bigger down the bottom because of the pockets and things we put in them. If I put it up that way, if I put it up that way, it's going to be bulky up here, so that's okay. Alright, so with that in mind, we're going to decorate it this way, and this way. So, what will we do? Let me go away and think about what I want to put on here, and then we'll come back and do it, eh? You don't want to watch me fossick through everything to decide what I'm going to do. Okay, so I have, this is just a piece of scrapbooking paper that I found in my scraps. I'm going to add that on there. I'm going to add this ticket I suppose it is, and these two florals on here like this. Now this floral comes in a roll. I have used it in other parts of the journal, so it should tie in okay. So let's go ahead and attach all of those. I hope everybody is well. This will be my second to last video for a while. My next video will be the last. I'm going away. I'm going on holidays, and I'll be away for 3 weeks. And so there won't be any videos during that time. Yeah, so I hope to finish off this journal, my Delightful Daisies journal, in the next not so long. Well, when I get back, that is, I'll be working on that. But I have made quite a bit of progress on it. I think I've only got little bits and pieces to finish off, so that will be good. And then start a new one. Have to decide what form the new one's going to take, what theme and colours and all that sort of thing. Whether it's going to be a normal bound journal, or whether it's going to be like a flip-flop journal, or what. It's always a bit exciting, isn't it, when you're thinking about starting a new journal. What's your favourite type of journal to make? Like the bound journals, or the flip-flop journals, or the lap books, or all sorts of things, isn't there? Rightio, so that's that. Now, as I said, for the tags, I'm trying to keep it very simple and very flat. So I'm just putting a label and a floral embellishment on those, and they will be attached flat, stuck down completely. I do like to go right out to the edge on these fussy cut, or anything that's got fiddly edges. I like to make sure I get out to the edge, because nothing's surer than it will get caught as it's sliding in and out of things if it's not completely stuck down. But then again, I always tend to use too much glue. Now, which way was this going to go? I think it needs to go, I think it will go that way best. I was thinking about putting a bit of ribbon on with it, but I decided not to. Once again, keeping with the flat idea. Just wipe over that, get any excess glue. And this one here, I've got a large oval label, and I am not too sure which. I think that goes that way. Try and make sure I get it right way up, although it is in the background, so it's not going to make that much difference. Now when Rachel did this, she did like a production line and she made quite a few of them. I've only managed to do one today, but I have finished it. Rachel's video was probably a bit longer than this one. I hope this video doesn't get too long. I try to keep my videos at about half an hour, but sometimes they get a bit longer. So in my next video I'll be working on my journal, adding more embellishments to it, and some that I've already made, but I mostly need to make some pockets and things to put in the pockets, and then I think I might put that like that. Yeah, and then see what I need, what other extras I need, like flip outs, and I've got 3 hidden paper clips in there at the moment, and I'm wondering whether I should do some more. And I want to do some page edges, so I might make that a whole video on its own. There's so many different things you can do for page edges, isn't there? Okay, so there we go. So it will go in a pocket that way, but when you write on it, of course, you can write any way you like. You can write that way, you can write that way, you can write that way. There's quite a few pages in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 was 24 writing spaces. And then we've got our tags, which of course have got journaling space on the back as well. They can go in there. And one in there. You can put them in whichever way you like. You can have the plain side out or the pattern side out, whichever suits your journal the best. Okay, so that's it. So I will make a pocket and I will pop that in the pocket so it can be taken out to write in. Alright, well that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this. As I said, it's Roxy's Weekly Challenge, week 14. I've got no idea what week we're up to now, but I know I'm at least 3 or 4 weeks behind, so I better get my act together. And I'm going away for 3 weeks, so I'm going to be another 3 weeks behind. So yes, anyway. Okay, thanks for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. And yeah, hope you can join me for my next video. Bye.